We're live now, so I got the notifications. I think we're good to go.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Tech here, back again with the what do we call our podcast? Oil
Oil
Drop
drop.
Podcast. Sorry, we changed our name very recently. And This is Arun, otherwise known as Arunatic 5 on Reddit. With me, I also have Adam, otherwise known as Sweet44722, as well as James, otherwise known as Paul-McCartney- on Reddit. Anyway, we have a wonderful podcast with us, enjoying a lovely little streak here that's apparently not in the preseason, just to the surprise of most of us at the moment. So I guess we can just start off with the really tough Oilers specific question. Okay, do you think the Oilers have turned a completely new leaf? Do you think it's just a hot streak, or do you think that this is going to be a permanent feature with the way that the Oilers are winning? Now, I do want to note that of the teams we have played so far, only one has made the playoffs last season. And including that, three of those teams were at 500, while two of
Currently.
them, pardon?
They're currently at 500. Sorry, I wrote
They're
that wrong.
currently at 500, sorry, while the other two are above 500. And that's St. Louis and Washington.
Mhm.
Oh, correction. Two teams made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And I'll give that to Adam first.
Um, I think it's hard to say. You can tell there's new look Oilers because they're playing a different style. It's more physical. The defensive game is relatively, well, it's significantly more sound than it was last year.
Yeah.
Goaltending is significantly improved. Our goal scoring still isn't where it needs to be. It's not quite league average yet. But with that
What?
said, our goal.
What?
Oh no, sorry. Our goals
No,
against.
we're having one of the best goal scoring in
What
the
am I
league
thinking
right
of?
now. What do you want?
Oh no, our penalty kill. The penalty kill power
Penalty.
play is still below average. Our
Oh,
goal scoring is
apparently it was third in the league.
what?
Yeah, penalty kill is really good, dude.
I think I'm confusing my Ottawa stats because what I was doing last night. I was looking up all the stats for Ottawa, so I was prepared today. I decided to apparently confuse all of
I
them.
was just looking up on the Copper and Blue. They posted an article this morning, and our PK is like third in the league. It's
So
pretty.
I've gone
It's really-
full retard. Good to know.
All right. Well, you know,
Anyway, getting back to my point was that, are we for real? Yes. Are we going to continue this streak tonight? Hopefully. Is it going to be? Are we going to be this good for the rest of the season? No, we're not. We're going to be a fringe playoff team by the end of the season, simply due to the fact that, as unfortunate as it is, we're probably going to have some injuries to our top six eventually, and or top nine even. We have to handle adversity, and we haven't got a whole lot of secondary scoring yet. Um, our top line is producing like Dickens. Our third line is producing very well, and Pouliot's gone on a little bit of a hot streak. But we haven't seen Nuge score a lot yet, and we
Okay,
haven't.
hold on. Imagine me saying it in this voice. But actually, Hitlick scoring a lot. Letestu's been scoring very efficiently. Cassian has above a 10% on shooting percentage.
Yeah, but
Our
do you really
bottom
think?
six is
Do you really
scoring.
think Cassian's going to keep up 10% shooting percentage for
Oh,
the season?
I don't think so. No,
So-
that's
so
the whole
that-
point of league average. But the thing is, our bottom six is scoring.
But that's
We're
what
getting
that's
secondary
what I'm saying
scoring.
is that I don't know if that'll continue for the season. And when we hit hard times, that's the stuff that really matters, right? If your top line is in a funk, you need the bottom low end scoring, and that's working right now. But I think it'll be interesting to see if it keeps going. Now, I'm going to say that we're actually better than I thought we would be. I genuinely did not think we'd be nearly as good in October. November is a much harder test. Just to wrap it up, we're good. I don't think we're this good. We will be good for the season. It's a new look Oilers.
Mhm.
James?
yeah, I'm a little bit more tempered. I think in my reaction so far. What Low Tide has been really harping on for the last week or so. It's the Corsi difference. With
Yeah,
McDavid on the ice versus McDavid off the ice, and
Mhm.
it's like 51 or 52% versus 43%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it
terrifying.
averages out to like
Difference.
45
Yeah,
zone
and
adjusted.
we all know Corsi is not the be all end all, but it's a pretty good indicator of where the ice is being tilted and who's getting the shots on goal. Like shots mean goals eventually. And so, I feel like this team is one injury away from being a lottery team again, honestly. While like McDavid makes such a huge difference, it can't be understated or it can't be overstated. Like it's with him, I feel like we have a chance to win every night, but without him, I don't like the team at all.
Mind you, that can be said about a lot of teams with a lot of stars. Like if you take Tarasenko out of St. Louis, they have a damn hard time producing offense. If you take,
But they have.
and that's the difference between a good team and a progressing team, right? So
Yeah, that's sort of like the point, like the importance of Corsi, though, because like people think of Corsi and they go, "Well, our team all healthy is going to be really good." But part of Corsi is that by averages, your team's not always going to be healthy. Like someone's going to get injured, and the teams that have better Corsi are generally still going to continue doing well.
right, but what I'm saying is that when you have a star player like McDavid and they're injured, your team is going to take a hit. The only exception I can think of maybe your team doesn't get worse if the player's out is with the Penguins because they have Getting Malkin, who just so happens to go ape shit whenever Crosby gets hurt.
He turns into the best player in the world as soon as
Like
Crosby's out.
and that's the thing. So you look at the Ducks without Getzlaff, or the Stars without goalies, or which is all the time, but this like the Stars without Sagan, or the Avs without McKinnon, and like it's the thing where I think saying that without our best player we're gonna be awful is a cop out because realistically any team's gonna be bad without the best player.
But
It depends how bad you are,
statistically,
though.
You
Like
have
how,
to admit, Adam, statistically, though, you're not losing just your best player. Like, you're losing, essentially, right now, statistically, one of the best players in the league.
and your power,
Right?
a big
He
part of
has,
your power
he's
play.
points
And, yeah.
leader.
Yeah.
I would honestly only argue that Crosby could be considered better right now based on their play. And that's just Crosby came in injured. Like, he didn't start the season right away. But, like, he's dominant in terms of possession. He's leading like his team on that regard. His point totals are insane. He can penalty kill. He can go on the power play. Jeez, he can do literally everything for the team, and he's doing almost everything.
So if McDavid goes down, we're screwed basically.
Oh, absolutely. Like Andretti Talbot.
Yeah,
Talbot's
honestly.
play right now is
Yeah.
insane.
So what about
And
is it worse?
McDavid gone? I don't think Talbot has enough in him to like compensate for that.
So, but I mean, so we talked about last year where with Larson went down. I know I completely talked over you.
No,
We'll go
Clefbaum.
back. But yeah, so when Clefbaum went down, sorry, it was arguable that Clefbaum's loss may have been actually worse than McDavid. And I know we've said that in the past, or we've suggested it at least. So then, is it not a bigger factor if we lose like Talbot or Clefbaum or Larson at this point, or is it still a
No,
bigger factor if we lose
It's
McDavid?
Talbot.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? Is it a bigger fact? Because you can have players step up, but if you lose Cam Talbot, our backup is Gustafsson.
Yeah,
No, if we lost Talbot, I would
Our
be
season's
calculating
done.
draft odds.
Like,
I'd be cal-
We'd be looking to try to trade for like someone like Marc-Andre Fleury at that point, honestly.
I don't know if we go that far, but
Yeah, that's true, but
maybe Chad Johnson.
we'd have to make a trade.
Hmm.
Like you cannot
We'd have to
run
make a trade,
Gustafsson. There's no way.
Unless Brossoit decides he's gonna go full dad bod for the entire rest of
Preston wasn't on dad bod.
No, but he could.
No.
He'll inherit his powers. I don't know.
So quick thing then to throw out here, because considering that we're talking about which players are more important for this run and everything, in this 7-1-0 run that we're on right now to start the season, what's your early impressions of the team? Who do you think has made the biggest impact? Does anyone need to still improve their game? And do you think that based upon the way that the players are playing right now, that this is a completely different team, or is this a team that's similar to last year's, except the luck has come together for them this time?
Okay, well, the easy answer is McDavid, so I'm going to try to not say McDavid has stood out really well.
Second easy answer is Talbot.
Another easy answer is Talbot, so I will not say Talbot. Let me think here. Who has really stood out in a good way?
Russell.
Russell.
Nurse,
I still don't-
Nurse has played pretty
Nurse.
well, I think so far, like relative to what's expected of him. I've liked his game a lot more from last year. I think he has the only goal from a defenseman on the team so far this year. He got it in the game against the Jets outdoors. Yeah, I think it's the only goal from. Anyway, yeah. So, and then in a bad way, I like Pouliot's game 50% of the time, but he takes so many goddamn stupid penalties. He drives me insane.
So,
he's been doing this for a decade. He just doesn't learn. It drives me nuts.
And there's two things about this one. So, one, going back to the Nurse thing, I know we talked with Berkshire about, or not Berkshire, sorry, when we talked to Ed about the need for defensemen to score for us. We need a 35, 40-point defenseman. Mm-hmm. We're not getting that, and that's terrifying if something happens and our offense dries up, or you know. So, like, we're having them produce assists, but they're not scoring goals for us.
Yeah.
Second, I forgot my point.
Good. Well, who stood out for you in a good way and a bad way?
What was my point?
Yeah, let's get to that.
Oh, right. No, Pouliot last year. So this is part of mine because Pouliot, again, negatively, he's been fantastic. He's been producing a lot of points, been playing really well, forechecking really well, meshing well with Nugent Hopkins and Cassian. But holy fuck, bud, stop taking penalties. Like, I don't understand. Last year, it literally cost us a game last year. And he said, "Oh, I'm a fucking idiot," in the post game, I'm not going to do it anymore. And he cleaned up his act for like the rest of the season. And we get back into this year, and he's taking penalties left and right again. And some of them are bullshit. Like there was one where I think he had spun around, the guy ran into his stick, and it's like, okay, well, that one you can't really do much about. But taking a hooking call in the offensive zone when you're just inside the blue line and McDavid's open, come on, no. Stop it. Stop, grow up. Other negative, I guess, would be the injuries, because if you think about our decor right now, it's pretty good. If you think about maybe having Nurse in the AHL so we can get time, I know he's been playing well, but if he can go to the AHL, play some top line minutes, and you have Davison step in with Graba. And I think Graba is actually who's been playing really well this year too. With the exception of maybe 1 or 2 games, he's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Russell's footwork's been better than I expected, completely and entirely. Mm-hmm. Cassian's been better than I expected. Whether that maintains or not remains to be seen. And I think Nuge, despite him not scoring, I know this kind of covers later, I think he's been playing well.
Yeah,
he's been playing well, but I
guess
up 4 points.
Yeah.
He's got 4 points in 8 games. It's not something to scoff at anything.
Oh, it's not something to scoff.
It's still like his play is indicating that he just started poorly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, am I lagging or you? Am I lagging for you guys? Just double checking here.
Slightly, not much. You're okay.
Not much. Okay.
So it's okay.
So yeah, my impressive player, or rather, I would say players, for starting the season, just because they're playing together, would be the combo of Lucic and McDavid. It didn't start off great to start this season. But then it just got together. And now Lucic has a solid idea in terms of where to be and where to send the puck in order to maximize McDavid's speed. That last game where McDavid was sprung on the breakaway, that was mostly in part good thanks to, was it Lander and Lucic picking out the right areas in order to basically send the puck to. In terms of players that could still improve, this one's a real tough one. Just because, as a whole, I think our team is doing fairly well. If you had asked me this question like 2 games ago, I would have easily said Jesse Puljujarvi. But now he's playing well as well. But he can still be shooting more. That's the only complaint I have for Puljujarvi.
That's the biggest thing for me. Shoot the fucking puck. McDavid and Lucic.
He has a goal in 6 games, but a 12% shooting average. So he's already above average for shooting a percentage.
It's like, well, it's even with Cassian and McDavid, or Lucic McDavid, sorry. Like, I've seen them, Lucic and McDavid had 2, I was at a bar, they had a 2-on-1, I'm like, okay, Lucic is going to put a shot on goal and get a rebound. No, he fucking tried to pass and hit the defenseman. Shoot the fucking puck on a 2-on-1.
Man,
holy shit!
Never pass on a 2-on-1. Never pass on a 2-on-1.
Why? Like, unless they're literally on you, shoot the fucking puck. Like they've been
Yeah, the whole point is that the defenseman's trying to take away the shot, right?
the pass. No, the defenseman trying to
the
take the
pass.
pass.
Cool.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, no, it's like I don't understand. I think there was now the first like 2 games of the season, McDavid didn't shoot at all, and he wasn't producing a lot. He wasn't really he was producing chances, but he wasn't doing as well as he could have.
Oh.
And then it seems like he got the green light to shoot, and all of a sudden, there's goals going in, and everything's towards the net. Like they need to shoot more. Be more selfish, Connor.
Okay.
Be more selfish, please.
Okay. I'm gonna interject here.
Yeah.
And because the second part of the question is what right now the same or different from past years?
Yeah.
I just want to point out that our shooting percentages right now are a little ridiculous. McDavid's at a 25%. Lucic is at 21%. Benoit Pouliot's at 30%. Jordan Eberle. This is actually average for him, which is 12%. That's his career average. That's
Really?
not bad.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's his career average is fairly high. He doesn't shoot much, but when he shoots, it usually goes in. Letestu's at 23%.
Yeah.
Pitlick's at 36%. Zach Cassian's at 15%. Darnell Nurse is at 14%. Slepyshev is at 20%, and that gives you just generally a good idea in terms of where our shooting percentages are at this season.
Unsustainable.
Yes.
Nah, totally sustainable.
Mind you, a lot of players on our team still are at 0%, but that's sort of to be expected kind of players. Like, Mark Fain's rarely, like, if he scores a goal, like, get a lottery ticket, right? Same goes with Greiba and his usually muffin of a shot when he gets the one time. Anyway, I don't think there's much else to talk about for this topic here.
One thing I want to mention.
Do you think we've covered Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, because we don't have much time here? So, any objections to just moving on from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins? Because we've talked about it.
I think quickly just that he's not scoring, but he's still playing well enough that it's not too much of a concern. It'll come.
Yeah. Basically his play for me is empowering his line mates, which is just what you need from a center. Right?
Pouliot's producing for a good reason, is all I can say.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that basically happened was, the Buffalo game happened, and the Oilers pulled for, in terms of what the NHLPA have said, a big no-no. Like, they canceled a league day off, and they went for another day. And they just had a practice skate that day, or I don't remember what it was. In terms of what happens, in terms of that grievance and everything, do you think anything's going to come out from that? Like, any terms of negative consequences? Or is it simply the fact that we're winning right now going to play a huge factor in terms of that grievance?
James was hurt?
Adam.
Oh.
Sure.
James, you started.
Oh, I don't think anything's going to come of it, to be totally honest with you. I actually kind of forgot about it. I'm not going to lie. I don't think anything is going to come of it. As long as the team keeps rolling, keep winning, keep the good times going, like, why rock the boat? Like, just keep going. I don't know. That's kind of my short answer.
I think if you look at it from the league's perspective, it's obviously a huge issue, because this is a team and a coach defying the NHLPA and the CBA because they decided that they didn't want their day off after a loss. And from that perspective, it's really not a good thing to have. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure they took their day off the next day anyway. Like, it wasn't like they took it and they're saying, oh, well, we'll take it off sometime in January. It's like they took it off on a Wednesday, which, to be honest, I think might have been better anyway, because Cam Talbot had his kids that day. It was an extra rest day before the Heritage Classic. I don't think anything will come of it, but I can understand why the league would have an issue with it.
Yeah.
That said, it almost is better that they did it, because it's I don't know about you guys, but I found, especially in a sport, after you have a really big loss, it's better to just get back at it than think about it, right? So after a terrible loss like that to a team that really shouldn't be destroying us that bad without two of their biggest players, I think it was the right move, and the fact that they took the day off the next day, I think, alleviates a lot of the issues.
Yeah.
Okay. in my opinion, I'm on the opposite side here. I do think something should come about with it, just to give people like the idea about the significance of this. In the past, T-Mac has wanted like I want to do a practice gate this day, but there was a day off, and he obliged it. Like he didn't, even though we had one of our worst losses of last season. He still like he didn't switch the days or anything. He went along with what was it according to the scheduled days off of that month. In terms of like be part of being a hockey player is also essentially it's a job, right? It's a full-time job. You're being an employee. In terms of the employee rights, I'm not a huge fan of it, but simultaneously because of the success we've seen so far, I do think that this might be more commonplace, and that's a concern for me. Just because I do think player burnout can be a legitimate thing,
Totally.
and I just hope it doesn't turn into that.
Well, I know. Sorry.
And that's actually something that I did want to comment on. Actually, I would argue that one of the reasons that T-Mac did so poorly just before he was fired was because he had overworked his players. But that again is going to be a topic for another time, another day. Anyway, we had a few in terms of the last couple things to talk about for the Oilers related. We have Fane, Davidson, Ference, Hendricks, Parker Ryan, and Kajula that are all out right now. Obviously, Ference likely will not come back. He's admitted it himself. He's on He's on long-term injured reserve.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just
where? Pardon?
They just put him on.
they just put him on like very recently, but yeah, go on.
Okay. Where do you see these players potentially when they come back, fitting back into the lineup? Do you see a mess up with the chemistry that's emerged in the not the top six? The top six chemistry was there last season as well, but the bottom six.
Mm-hmm. You know,
James?
it's almost like I'm tempted to just keep rolling with what we've got. Like I don't know, man. The last couple of years we've had Hendricks and Pakarainen down there in the top six, and it's like, okay, well, the top six was dog shit. So, or sorry, the bottom six. I'm sorry, the bottom six was dog shit. So things are going well right now. I feel like, you know, if I was going to remove somebody from the lineup, I guess it would probably be Slepyshev at this point. I would put in Hendricks, but Pakarainen and Kajula, like Kajula can go down to the AHL, and Pakarainen can be a healthy scratch. Like that's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, the only one I could see coming back and immediately replacing somebody is maybe Davidson stepping in for Nurse, and that's just not because Nurse has played poorly.
I wouldn't say Nurse. I would say Greiba.
Well,
I'll be honest with you.
Davidson is a left shot, right?
Nurse is playing better than Greiba right
He is, but is Davidson not a left shot?
now. No.
Mind you, we have Chris Russell currently playing the right side as a left shot, so it's one of those things where it's like you could go with either or, but it might prefer to have a right shot on defense.
Davidson has played the right side with the left shot, has he?
He has, but he didn't play it for as long as it need. Like he switched over. I think Sekera actually took the right side when they played together for a bit.
Is that a super big deal though? Handedness?
I think it depends more on the coach, because like if you see Babcock refused to take Subban to the World Cup because he said, "Oh no, I want a right shot defenseman." Or he need a left shot defenseman, and Subban's right shot.
Yeah.
With other coaches, like I think Alain Vigneault doesn't give a shit. He just goes with like whatever works, and the same thing happened.
Yeah, but Alain Vigneault is also notorious for running favorites and other things like that.
But if you look at the Devils now too, they don't have an equal mix of right and left hand. They're actually short on the left side. So they have a couple. They had. I want to say, I can't remember who it is, but one of their right shots was playing left side. So it's just one of those things where I think it depends heavily on the coach and who they feel is playing better and who they feel can rotate well. Chris Russell, again, has played right shot in the past, so when they picked him up, they said, yeah, okay, you can play right side. And they stuck him on the right side. He's done significantly well. So whether we see Nurse or Graba come out, I don't think. I think it's probably a bit more up in the air than I think it is. which is fine by me because you could either sit Grab or set Nurse down. But the idea behind Nurse going is that not that he hasn't proven himself, but that he can get log 24 minutes a night in the AHL
Yeah.
and get more practice. If anything other than that, then he stays and Nurse and Davidson play third pairing and then Gravis hits, and that's fine. And Fane is sent down because you can't keep all of them, right? I think Puljujärvi and Slepyshev are likely sent down. Is Slepyshev waiver?
I believe so. Yeah, he's waiver
Yeah.
eligible.
So that's the only thing. I think you have to
Is he
keep.
where? Oh.
So you have to keep Sleppy up because I think he's proven himself too much to go through at this point. Then again, maybe not. It's one of those weird things now where we've come to realize we know little nothing about the waiver wire as far as like some players you might get picked up, some players don't.
So
It's just like it's so.
Yeah. Lots of players that I think do well, they don't, and then players like like Timu Polkinen, he's been on waivers twice, and I'm like, man, that guy, he was pretty good, wasn't he? But I guess
Was
not.
pretty good. Yeah.
Wisniewski signed in the AHL or in the KHL. Sorry, it's like
Yeah.
it's one of those like okay, I didn't see that coming.
I don't understand that one. I'll be honest with you.
I don't know, but
He's like the only reason he's there and not here is literally because he had a season-ending injury very early last season. That's
yeah.
it.
It might be that
In
he's
terms of when
asking
he
for
was
too
playing,
much
he played
salary.
really well.
It might be that he's asking for too much to play bottom pairing because that's what he is, right? He's a bottom pairing defenseman.
Yeah,
He's a bottom pairing power play specialist.
So it might be that he's asking for $2 or $3 million, and no team wants to pay that, right?
lots of teams are in cap trouble, so I mean,
Yeah, there's
simultaneously, Adam, like nobody really wanted Russell, and
No.
we signed him for 3.
yeah. Now we're also a team that needed someone to play right D, especially when.
Oh, hold on. James wanted to say something.
1 year, that's it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that it might have been the fact that Wisniewski wasn't looking for. Because how old is Wisniewski? A bit older, right? He's
32, 33.
So he's looking for a couple of years because is probably going to be his last contract, versus Russell's like 28, I think. Russell's still fairly young. So his 1 year deal is like, yeah, I'll prove it to you guys, and you can pay me next year, which I hope doesn't happen.
32.
So Wisniewski's probably was looking for more than 1 year, is my guess.
I still feel like Chris Russell's getting paid this year.
Oh, he's getting paid. He is. But the concerning thing for me is if he's playing this well and then we want to sign him again, it's going to...
No,
It's not gonna be cheap. It's gonna
No.
be fairly.
So getting back to my actual point is that I think Puljujärvi gets sent down. Kajula is non-waiver eligible, so he probably gets sent down to Hendricks. Probably slots in, is my guess. And then we have don't fix what's not broken. Basically, minor changes so that people can get some time in the AHL. It's worth noting too that Jujhar Khaira has four goals in 5 games. It's he's playing really well.
Okay,
Do you think he's first in line for a call-up, or?
It's certainly leaning that way. If I don't know if he plays wing or not because we have so many players down there right now that like if Puljujärvi goes down then he's good. Kajula proved he could play really well. Pakarainen would be probably sitting in the NHL, so he could step in. Like I don't think he's first in line, but I think next year he's going to push hard for a bottom 6 spot.
Yeah.
That is Kara, not Kyra. I said it wrong. Arun.
Okay, I'm gonna end this topic because we're going on way too long.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
I'll just go player by player here. This is fairly straightforward. Fane, I think, should be coming into the lineup, but he likely won't
For who?
because he's not favored by the coaches or the management.
For Grubs?
For Grubs, yeah, or Nurse. He plays right shot too, and is of course he can definitely help us in terms of shot suppression. I definitely think Davidson should be coming in, and he should be playing a top 4 role, but he likely won't just because of the players guaranteed in that role at the moment. Ference, obviously, that's obvious. Hendricks, I'm going to be a little contrarian here. So Hendricks is in our lineup primarily to play in our bottom 6 and shut down the offensive players on the other team, as well as penalty kill. And right now, without Hendricks, sorry, that's a player I was saying, we're doing both of that really, really well. Even better than last season.
I was going to say, with that one player who happens to be playing really well, I haven't mentioned yet, Anton Lander.
Yeah, Anton Lander is playing really well right now. Yeah.
Do you keep
In my opinion, I see Hendricks. I don't see Hendricks coming back into this lineup. I see him as a healthy scratch that only comes in case of like Lander has a bad game, that kind of situation, or someone else does. Pakarainen, I do think should slot in, but he'll likely be a healthy scratch just to avoid messing around with the lineup. I just like what Pakarainen brings because he has more offense to go to add to that bottom six role. And he can play a top six role in terms if the coach needs to make a mid-game adjustment. And Kajula, I think, should just go through a brief conditioning stint and then come back and come into the lineup. And hopefully, I don't know right now, it's going to take a few more games and send Jesse Pugliarvi down. I don't know where he goes down to. I don't really know how CBA works anymore. AHL?
Yep. He does have the
Doesn't he need an AHL contract to do that?
No, because he played for non-North American league. He played in the Finnish league. I think it was Finnish league. He can go straight to the AHL. No concerns.
Yeah.
That's what the Avalanche did with Mikko Rantanen last year.
And he won't, as long as he's sent down before the 9-game mark. I think he doesn't lose a year off his ELC.
Yeah.
Or off his RFA. Sorry, he loses a year off his ELC no matter what, but not off his RFA.
Okay.
No, I'm confused. It might be the ELC thing.
Okay.
It might be the ELC. Anyway.
So last Oilers-related topic here, just so we're steaming through this. We had a few comments from, I believe it was D. White, concerning Kassian. So there's two different comments here. I'm not going to read them word for word. Just basically, where do we guys see Kassian in terms of his impact of team physical presence, his drive, his overall surprising performance so far? We didn't expect much coming into the season, but he definitely has overperformed. Not overperformed, performed beyond our expectations of him. And right now, like for example, the Oilers-Canucks game, he was also being a really good teammate and coming in and encouraging Pool Party when he was feeling down. Your guys' opinion. I'll say we're Adam.
I don't know. It's been a weird mix for me because Kassian's been really good, and it's terrifying because last year when he picked him up, he was really good and then fell off a cliff. And I want to say this is sustainable, but a shooting percentage that as a 15%, I think he's at. It's
never been that high.
It's not really sustainable. That said, if he can play this sort of role and produce occasionally, I'm okay with that. Like. The biggest difference to me is he looks healthy this year. He looks like he's in the right frame of mind. He looks like he lost some weight this summer. I think he said, put on more muscle. He looks good. His speed's been fantastic. Like every time he picks up the puck, I keep thinking he's going to be slow, and he picks up pace faster than most players expect. I think, not exactly McDavid in his explosiveness, but very fast. I think we're seeing that all play out right now. Now, whether or not he's able to do that when we hit the grind and teams start figuring out how the Oilers play and how Kassian and Pouliot and Nuge play together and all that might change. But the other thing I think is worth noting is that if Nugent Hopkins isn't scoring right now and Kassian is playing really well, what happens when Nuge gets going and if Kassian is still playing well? Then I think it's worth exploring. But I think Kassian's been really good. And his presence has helped. I'm not a huge grit guy, but it's one of those things where we've been lacking it, and it is making a difference. So I think what Kassian brings is good so far. Hopefully it's sustainable.
I like what he's been doing so far as well. I've always thought that he's a pretty tough customer who can chip in offensively. It really sucked last year seeing him fall off a cliff. I thought that he had more to offer than what he gave. So far this year, we are seeing a lot more of that. Like Adam said, it's not McDavid speeds, but it's still pretty impressive. Like he's got hands, he can play the game. But at the same time, like if we get to the 30-40 game mark and all of a sudden he drops off a cliff, well then, what do you do with him? Because you got Lucic and you got Maroon to be the heavyweights. You don't need him just to be a heavyweight. I feel like he has to provide offense to stay with the team. So we'll see whether or not he can maintain offense. Who knows?
Here's a here's a point that I wanted to add on all of that. So Cassian right now, hold on, I have to pull up the exact stats. So I'm not saying anything out of my ass. 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points in 8 games. Fairly good, yes, we would agree. He's a +1, but it doesn't mean anything. 13 shots on net, 15.4 shooting percentage. In terms of him being a heavyweight, he's only had 1 fight so far, and he has only 7 penalty minutes to his name. He's actually very much not playing like last year. He's not there to rough up guys on the ice outside of the fight last game, and he's contributing very differently. But that being said, Cassian is the reason that all of us are sort of concerned is that Cassian has almost made a career out of giving really good first impressions and not being able to follow up on that. He did the same for Buffalo. He did the same for Vancouver. He did the same for...
Well, nah,
pardon?
not really. I was going to say Montreal, but he never really got a shot in Montreal.
He didn't play.
No.
He did the same for us last season. He's very much a come in very hot and then die down a little kind of guy. In some cases, die down a lot, like last season. And there's a reason almost that, it's not necessarily that, he was into the hard drugs and that kind of thing was a reason that he was always being traded. It was because he would die off. So I do hope for his own sake that he maintains the level of play that he's at right now. But based upon just the rough statistics and the history so far, I don't see it happening. But that being said, right now he's playing really well. That's a given. He's putting up points, is impacting the play. He's definitely complementing that top six. But I mentioned this before the podcast started when we were talking to each other. But I think a huge part of Cassian's play is dependent on confidence. And when things aren't rolling for you, confidence has to be brought in within yourself, right? And it doesn't always happen for Cassian. And if he can work on, honestly, seeing a sports psychologist and something like that and working on that so he gives more consistent performances will help out his career immensely.
I'll bet you he does see one already. He
probably does. He can't be a pro and not see one.
Obviously we don't know about the specific therapy program CBA goes through, but I imagine they provide a therapist for them. The thing I think we're noting,
he really needs to work with it, though.
Yeah,
that's all I'd say. Yeah.
And I think he it looks like he has. We can't assume anything. But
no. I don't like doing that either. No.
But it's been interesting if we look at you talk about the drug problem, and they found he had a drug problem. He went to therapy. He came back and he was good last year, but he was still a bit overweight and all that. Not overweight, but heavier than he wanted to be, like you said. But is this not the first time he started the season in potentially a really long time where he's sober? So it might be a different casting we're seeing.
I think Vancouver he was sober too.
We don't know.
We don't know.
That's the thing.
But we don't.
Too.
And I don't
it's
like
speculation.
I don't like speculating about that kind of stuff because it's really not fair to the person. Especially if we can't ask him, hey, Cass, were you on coke when you no.
It's a big reason why when you hear stuff like so and so player said he was not good in the locker room or he implied it. We don't really respect that over here because that's just person's opinion.
Now, if it's backed up by 10 different sources, okay, well, maybe
at that point we can say there's some kind of substance to it, but no.
But anyway, so my point is that maybe it is a different casting we're seeing, but I want to be proven wrong more so than proven right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that is also my opinion. But in terms of what history has written so far, I'm a huge person of the past writes the future in many cases, and this can be a case of that. Anyway, moving on. So, do we want to talk about the 50-50 ticket, or do you just want to talk about other NHL news?
I think James had a bigger issue with it than we did.
Yeah. We can skip past it. Let's skip past it.
Anyway, Matthews, Nylander, and Marner appear to be a legitimate threat and the real deal. It's only a matter of time. It's already that, like they're fairly high up in terms of scoring. Like last game alone, it's not just like one guy is just being spectacular, but like last game, arguably the worst of those three, Nylander made a bunch of Canadians defensemen look like idiots and run into each other.
Yeah.
So is it a matter of time before Toronto starts racking up the wins?
James?
They got to get their defense sorted out. Their forwards are great, but their defense, oh God, it's pretty frustrating to watch. I think Riley's got off to a pretty rough start. Gardner's been pretty good.
Yes.
Zaitsev has been solid, unspectacular. Hunwick, trash. Like, they got to get their
Polak, though.
They gotta get more consistent performances out of Anderson. Anderson has been his stats are not great, but Anderson himself has been serviceable. Like, he hasn't been bad, but the blue line has just really let him down a lot. So once they get the blue line sorted out, I think that they can start rolling.
They've definitely been playing like pylons. The other thing I think is that beyond, I haven't really looked at the Leafs a lot, but beyond top 6, I don't think they're getting a whole lot of points.
Top line, let's be honest here.
Now, again,
Kadri's contributing now, but top line.
Nylander, like you said, is arguably worse than Marner and Matthews, and absolutely just ran over the game yesterday. He took control and just ran with it. It looked like when McDavid decides he wants to kind of, that he's like, I feel like winning tonight. Just kind of takes over the game. So it's going to be terrifying in a few years, but the worrying thing to me is that if they're like second year of rebuild and they're this good already, that they're pushing a lot of teams, by January, if teams are in their they're stumbling a little bit, and the Leafs have Riley and Gardner and Mertz and whoever else figures out how to play defense again, then they could push for maybe not playoffs, but for close to. They could. I know the East isn't very good this year. Again.
No. I'm gonna chime in on that one too. I do think I'm of the opinion that the Leafs are gonna make the playoffs this season. Yes, pretty much that team is entirely comprised of their top line at the moment, but now their second line has contributed down scoring. Kadri is coming up pretty big as of late, but it's just gonna be interesting to see whether or not the pieces come together first, and they're able to string together wins, or it's going to be injuries and other factors coming in first, and they're not able to do that altogether.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, they have all the tools. It's just a matter of getting a more consistent goaltending performance, getting their defensemen back into the gear of limiting shots against and that kind of thing. That's just going to be the key to the formula here. In terms of Corsi's, your advanced fancy stats, they're doing fairly well. Honestly, the only thing is their PDO is pretty bad. That's it. They're one of the best teams in the NHL right now for Corsi differential. Also, another really good team for Corsi differential right now, Montreal. What a thunk.
I was going to say. So then,
anyway.
Real quick, just we can make the last point if you want. Yeah, we'll make this one the last point. The Nashville thing. Nashville's playing poorly. Why?
You can quickly comment on that.
Yeah, their goaltender Rene's playing like shit, and the defense.
Rene's playing like trash.
They have no offense.
Nashville is 29th in the league because Rene's playing like trash. It's easy.
They have no offense either. It's their defense.
Forsberg, Johansson, all these players don't.
God.
Outside of actually, PK Subban's playing really well for that team.
Imagine that. PK Subban playing hockey well.
Point per game. Right?
Who would have thought? No. So the last point would be, how many Canadian teams do you think will make the playoffs this year, or could at the very least potentially grab the spot?
Okay, if we're able to continue our level of play into the first 15 games of the season, we could make the playoffs. I think Montreal is a lock-in outside of Weber or PK Subban getting, not PK Subban, Price getting injured. You didn't hear that. What are you talking about? Montreal has a good chance outside of barring anything extreme happening. Right now, it's just simply put, a lot of teams around the league are getting, the bad end of luck after years and years and years of having really good luck. For example, LA Kings hadn't had a major kind of injury for years and years and years on end, and now they have a really big one, right? The Blackhawks were doing one of the best teams for all their stats and everything, and now they absolutely trash on the penalty kill.
God, the penalty kill is like apocalyptic. It is horrible.
If you have a power play against, power
play goal against in every game.
Yeah. They're like, if you have a power play against the Chicago Blackhawks, you're gonna score about 40% of the time, 40 to 60% of the time. You're gonna score. That's bad.
When do we play the Hawks?
I do still think that right now it's a lot of players and teams riding on highs. And I think more accurately, I don't see us making the playoffs. If the advanced stats lie where they may, I do think some kind of injury or something is going to mess up our chemistry, either in our top six or our bottom six or goaltending. Hope not. Or our defense, because honestly, while we have forward depth, we don't have much in terms of defensive depth. It's gonna fall down like a house of cards. I do think Calgary's gonna make the playoffs. Right now, they've strung together 3 wins in a row after starting their season so poorly. Elliott's playing really well right now, and the rest of the team's like, oh right, we can play hockey, and it's scoring. So. That team is also doing really well, but yeah, I don't know. Like, the only teams that right now I'm going like won't make the playoffs is like the Senators
and Vancouver,
and potentially, yeah, absolutely Vancouver, and potentially the Jets. Yeah. That's it. James, sorry, that was really long.
Okay, so I think Montreal's a lock, and I think if McDavid stays healthy, we have a good chance of making the playoffs because, like I said, it's literally 2 different teams with him in and out of the lineup, which is sad, but that's kind of the reality. Vancouver will not make it. Toronto won't make it. I think Winnipeg has a good chance to make it. Line A is fucking electric. Like, he's so good.
He's been so much better than even advertised, honestly. Yeah,
seriously. I was like tempering expectations and hype in my head on him, but then every time I watch him play and every time I see him on the power play and he just lets a laser beam go, I'm like, man, you're really
he looks like an absolute, like, you're like, oh my god, how's this player like even play when he's skating around? But then he puts it back up.
And then all of a sudden the puck's off his stick. You're like, where the fuck there's the net? No, okay.
Yeah, that's it. He scored again. Yeah, so he's already at a point a game. Obviously, like, I don't think that's sustainable, but for now, it's pretty sweet. So I think Winnipeg has a decent chance to make the playoffs. Ottawa, I don't think they will make the playoffs, and another year of Carlson's prime will be down the tubes.
I'm getting so pissed at the Sens. West, East, real quick because we got to end. Vancouver's not going to make it.
No. Let's. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Vancouver's not going to make it. I think we have a chance to push for wild card. We're going to drop off in the second half, I think. We're all really dependent right now on Talbot. We have no backup, so we can't really steal it back-to-back. Maybe Gustafsson decides to figure out positioning, but he slides around like goddamn Dominik Hasek with less ability. So, and he's perpetually injured. So that's the other concern. Calgary, I think will make it. They started off the season rough, but they're a better team than I wish to admit. Winnipeg, I think, is going to get screwed because if they're not going to beat out a wild card team, they got the Central to contend with, and the Central minus the Blackhawks is still pretty good. Actually, I guess right now the Predators are doing.
No, right now they're all playing really poor.
I was going to say maybe. You know what?
Minnesota's playing really well right now.
Now
I cannot emphasize that enough. That's 3 back-to-back-to-back shutouts.
Yeah.
For Devin Dubnyk.
Yeah, it's the Thunderdome. Might pick up again, and that's the only that maybe if the Thunder picks up again, the Jets are screwed. If not, they might push. Habs are a lock. Toronto, I don't think will make it, but basically the only team you can 100% count out right now for me is the Canucks. which I'm fine with. I don't give a shit about the Canucks.
Nope, me neither.
I mean, it's cheaper tickets for me when I go in
that's a
April.
management right now, but based upon the way that management is working right now, I'm happy. Anyway, last comment. I'm gonna let each of you guys say goodbye and also answer one quick question. Do you think the rate of scoring that we're having right now in the NHL is going to continue going forward with that? Is it going to drop or is it going to increase? Adam, and I'll let you also say goodbyes this time.
Yeah, so it's going to drop just because if you look at how many of the starting goaltenders are out right now, once they return, it's going to decrease because they'll be the better goalies will be back again, basically.
Okay. And that is Adam, Schweet44722.
So yeah, I think that scoring's going to drop. I mean, I can't see it staying the way that it is. I wish scoring would stay about this level because I really like goals and I really find them exciting. I would much rather have a 6-5 game than a 1-0 game. A lot of people really love defense, but I say fuck that. Give me goals. So, I think it's gonna drop though.
Okay, and that is James, otherwise known as Paul-McCartney. I think it's gonna drop, and almost incredibly so. But at the same time, it's not gonna. It's gonna be interesting when the teams with particular save percentages are also gonna normalize. I don't know what you're referring to. Anyway, this has been Arithmetic 5, otherwise known as Arun, and thank you very much for joining us for our podcast today. I know we didn't have very many live viewers, but we will be able to catch us on our VOD. Also, follow us on Twitter, like, comment, subscribe, and so on, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. See ya.
See you later.